Get ready to delve deep into the complex world of Hailey Bieber, Justin Bieber, and Selena Gomez. We're moving beyond the surface-level celebrity drama to uncover the psychological currents that might be at play. This isn't just about a love triangle. It's about trauma, obsession, codependency, and the internet's relentless pursuit of a villain. Subscribe to embark on this insightful journey with us, and be prepared to see these familiar narratives through a new lens. This series kicks off by focusing on Hailey Bieber, who often appears as the internet's preferred target for criticism. Many are familiar with the Hailey pipeline narrative on TikTok, which portrays her as an obsessed fan who eventually married Justin. However, this exploration aims to go deeper, seeking to understand the underlying reasons for her emotional attachment, why she appears to tolerate public disrespect from her husband, and why she might remain in the relationship despite challenges. This perspective suggests that Hailey could be seen as a poster child for codependency, a concept explored in detail in books like Codependent No More. This isn't to judge Hailey, but rather to understand the patterns that might lead someone to prioritize another's needs to the point of abandoning their own. Hailey's background, particularly her childhood and family dynamics, is presented as a key factor. Born into a degree of fame through her father, Stephen Baldwin, she reportedly grew up in the shadows of his fluctuating relevance. This upbringing, it is suggested, instilled in her the belief that proximity to power matters. Furthermore, both Hailey and Justin's religious upbringing in the Hillsong Church, which promotes a wives submit to your husband dynamic, is highlighted as potentially shaping her belief that her highest value comes from being a good woman to the right man. From this perspective, Hailey's continued presence in the relationship, despite perceived disrespect, could be seen as making perfect sense within the framework of her deeply ingrained beliefs and experiences. The discussion posits that Hailey has never fully developed her own personal identity. Her modeling career and the launch of Road Beauty are presented as not taking off until after she married Justin. This alleged lack of individual identity prior to her marriage is suggested as a source of frustration for her, leading her to express a desire to be recognized for her accomplishments outside of Justin. This is framed not as a personal failing, but as a survival mechanism developed from a childhood where she may not have been fully seen for herself. Her attachment to someone bigger than her is seen as a learned way to survive, connecting to the narrative of her being a super fan and even the stalking accusations. The concept of codependency is further explored, moving beyond the common understanding of a lost puppy dynamic. It is defined as abandoning yourself for someone else's needs, particularly when that person is unstable, inconsistent, and damaged. In such a scenario, the chaos of the other person can become the codependent's purpose. This leads to the idea that Hailey might never leave Justin, and Justin might never leave Hailey, due to their intertwined sickness. The analogy of two unhealthy people leaning on each other, rather than standing independently, illustrates how codependency sustains a relationship where one person's sickness requires the other to lean into. Though one often perceived as the victim in such dynamics, like the person taking care of an addict or trying to teach a narcissist about lasting unconditional love, is presented as participating in their own sickness. The only way out, it is suggested, is for the codependent to stand the expletive up, or for both parties to heal. Justin is described not just as a crush for Hailey, but as her project. This aligns with the idea that codependents often attach themselves to projects they can fix, believing this will make them feel enough. This is offered as the reason why Hailey constantly defends him, smooths over his public tantrums, and smiles even when perceived slights occur. In a codependent mindset, where self-worth is low, being needed can be prioritized over being truly loved. Her continued presence is also linked to the sunk cost fallacy, where her significant investment in the relationship, including her public image and efforts to prove critics wrong, makes walking away feel like a failure and a source of shame. This shame, it is argued, is an emotion people often run from, leading them to hold on tighter to the fantasy they have created. The perspective concludes by offering compassion for Hailey, acknowledging that she has been the internet's punching bag. It suggests that her patterns stem from a screwed-up blueprint from childhood, where she was taught she needed saving and might never have an identity of her own. While she deserves compassion, she also deserves accountability for participating in this illusion. The relationship's longevity is not equated with health, and it suggested that despite their continued bond, neither may be truly happy. Hailey is portrayed as having married not just the man she admired, but also the chaos she thought she could control and her own addiction to being needed. The piece ends by posing the question of whether Hailey is the problem or merely collateral damage in the war that Justin Bieber has been losing with himself for a decade, setting the stage for a deeper dive into Justin's role in the next part of the series. Subscribe to continue this deep dive into the psychological underpinnings of this celebrity narrative and gain a deeper understanding of the complexities involved.